how much time passes between the last scene we talked about and this one. Long enough for Hallorann to serve a bowl of ice cream and for Danny to eat it. We don't know what they talked about during all that because we joined them just in time for the important stuff. Danny must be confused, and so Hallorann begins to teach him. He starts with his own memories and the knowledge that there are other people who go through the same thing, although they are the minority. But he's not a professor who has studied it. He's someone who has lived it. The only name he's ever heard for it is the one his grandmother came up with. It's not an official name. As far as he knows, it doesn't have a name. She made one up. He and his grandmother also use it as a verb.
People who shine. She called it shining.
And when he uses it as a noun,
just the two of us that had to shine to us.
Why two? It's for characteristics that aren't directly part of the things they belong to. That guitar has a good sound to it. There's a trick to opening that cabinet. What's the solution to this problem? None of these match the title perfectly, but that fits with the rest of the movie. There are a million things that almost match, but not quite.
I can remember when I was a little boy, my grandmother and I could hold conversations entirely without ever opening our mouths. I can remember when I was a little boy, my grandmother and I could hold conversations entirely without ever opening our mouths.
The subtitle is okay here. Actually, there are some little things I want to say, but I need to prioritize or we'll be here all day. Next, he asks Danny about what he sees, and learns a little about Danny's imaginary friend, Tony.
Is Tony the one that tells you things? Is Tony the one that tells you things?
Hallorann's dialogue is quite rational. He's taking a very gentle approach and phrasing what he says very carefully. He wants Danny to open up, to share what he's endured. He knows that he's seen and heard things that no one around him can understand. But he can empathize. The last thing he wants is to scare him or confuse him further. The subtitle has no such sensitivity. Mirai no koto. Is Tony the one that tells you the future? And then, asking about his parents.
Do they know he tells you things? Do they know he tells you things?
Again, Hallorann repeats the phrase, tells you things. Partly because he's communicating with a little kid, and partly to keep the tone of the scene grounded in reality. The fantasy elements are trying to creep in, but his choice of plain words keeps them under control, for now. But the subtitle? Do they know that he can predict the future? And as they go on to talk about the hotel and the visions Danny sees there,
just like they can see things that haven't happened yet. Well, sometimes they can see things that happened a long time ago. Just like they can see things that haven't happened yet. Well, sometimes they can see things that happened a long time ago.
Again and again, the script is intentionally mundane. It avoids words that sound mystical, magical, or grandiose. This time, the English dialogue chooses the restrained things that haven't happened yet. But the subtitle stubbornly insists on the future. If we return for a moment to the beginning of the scene, where he mentions his grandmother.
She called it shining. She called it shining.
The translation says, it's The Shining. First, It's an inflexible katakana word. Words in the language they come from can be like soft clay. They change their form according to the system of the language. But when it becomes a loan word, that usually stops. Sometimes it does change into different forms, but they'll be part of the system of the new language. Not this one, though. It's become a hard brick. Shining is also the exact title of the movie, because there's no "the" in the Japanese title. Put this together with a straight "da," and it seems like an authoritative statement about the name for this phenomenon. But they didn't have a formal name for it. There was no one who could tell them the real name. Maybe there is no real name for it. But they experienced it together, and she described it that way. She called it shining. To see, to hear, to understand things that other people can't. All of this was to shine in her mind.
And for a long time, I thought it was just the two of us that had the shine to us. And for a long time, I thought it was just the two of us that had the shine to us.
Here, the Japanese translation says they could do things like that. Actions. Other lines treat the shine more like a quality you have than a specific action. How many expressions in English use the image of light to describe a person? To be bright is to be either happy and cheerful or intelligent, in which case brilliant is even stronger. We say a person is glowing when their happiness seems too great to be contained. And when someone or something can give people hope or inspire them to reach a higher place, they are a beacon. Danny is already bewildered and afraid, and soon he'll be in real danger. But Hallorann's guidance will comfort him and give him skills to survive, just as he not only survives, but is warm and friendly, despite knowing the horror that exists in the hotel and in the world.
Not things that anyone can notice, but things that people who shine can see.
The careful wording of the dialogue and the amazing performance by the late Mr. Crothers have built the perfect mood which the subtitles will smash into pieces.
Not things that anyone can notice. Not things that anyone can notice.
The way he stresses anyone is really interesting to me. If he didn't stress it, not things that anyone can notice, it would mean that no one can notice those things. But because he stresses it, it becomes not just anyone. Only specific people can notice, which he goes on to explain. The subtitle gets this right. Things that not just anyone can see, or things that aren't visible to everyone. Not bad, right? But
things that people who shine can see. But things that people who shine can see.
Here it is. I'm not sure I can explain how much I hate this. You need the shining. In other words, you need psychic powers. It's a translation that is simultaneously lazy and aggressive. The original dialogue never says superhuman, never says clairvoyance or ESP or anything like that. They walk a tightrope of explaining just enough while maintaining the mystery and wonder. He's been speaking in a way that a child can understand and that we in the audience can accept. This may be the most believable scene in the movie, partly because of the acting and partly because the script completely avoids saying things like 超能力, つまり超能力. Arr! We're 3 minutes into the scene at this point. If they were going to end up saying つまり超能力, they might as well have just said it from the start. Oh, that's a superpower. You're a telepath, Doc. Good luck battling with your dad when the hotel's evil energy takes control of him. Have a nice winter. Bye. Cut. What's that, 10 seconds? Fine. Move on. Next scene. If you treat movies only as disposable entertainment, you probably don't get why this upsets me. That's fine. We can agree to disagree. If you believe that movies are, or at least can be, art, then maybe you get it. This subtitle is pure disrespect to the creators and the audience. If art is sacred, then this subtitle is sacrilege. Too grandiose? This is still only the beginning of the story, and there's another twist in this conversation.
You're scared room 237, ain't you?
No, I ain't.
You're scared room 237, ain't you?
No, I ain't.
Dick and Doc both use ain't. You know about ain't? If you've ever thought that changing between isn't, aren't, haven't, etc. was a pain, that it was too much trouble, then ain't is the word for you. Not everybody uses it. It's definitely casual, and some people think it sounds uneducated or unsophisticated. I like it though. At least I'm used to it. Danny's ain't ya, ain't ya is a very similar change to the would you, would ya in part 1. The subtitles are good here too. Simple and good. No, I ain't. Yeah, 別に.
Mr. Hallorann, what is in room 237?
Nothing. There ain't nothing in room 237.
Mr. Hallorann, what is in room 237?
Nothing. There ain't nothing in room 237.
Hallorann says nothing twice, and the subtitle says 何もない twice. I like it. Can you hear the end of nothing? It doesn't sound like ing, it sounds like in. This is very common. I say this in my dialect too. I don't, however, use double negatives like he does here. Most people will say this is wrong in standard English, but people say it in some dialects. In standard English, a double negative comes back around to positive. In dialects like his, it can be used for emphasis, a stronger negative. I don't mind when native speakers use double negatives as long as it fits their overall speaking style. For my students, I recommend avoiding it. But after you've mastered the standard basics, you can start to try to express yourself the way you want to.
But you ain't got no business going in there anyway. But you ain't got no business going in there anyway.
This is good. This might be the best subtitle in this scene. No business is yoganai. It's none of your business is あなたには関係ない. Business is not only work, you see. There's another ain't and another double negative.
So stay out. You understand? Stay out. So stay out. You understand? Stay out.
He says stay out twice for emphasis. It's very important. The subtitle says don't go near it once, 近寄るな, and you can't or you mustn't go in once, 入ってはいけない. I think Ika is good for you understand, but the rest of it? I mentioned before, when a subtitle is different from the original, I sometimes wonder if it's by mistake or by choice. This line is pretty clearly a choice. They didn't want to repeat the phrase the way he does. And how should we translate stay out to Japanese anyway? Signs that say keep out in an English-speaking country say tachiiri kinshi in Japan. But that certainly wouldn't fit this conversation. あの部屋は立ち入り禁止. No, I don't like that. Why not use the same verb twice? だから入るな。いいか、入ってはいけない。近寄るな is don't go near it, but could be translated as stay away, which is close to stay out. So anyway, I wonder why they chose to write it this way, but I don't think it's wrong. Thanks for watching part 2. Will there be a part 3? Probably. Will it be finished in time for Halloween? No. Stay tuned. Or don't.